What's going on, guys? Elijah Porter here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video from my 2019 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. It's a beautiful evening, and so I just decided to go for a ride, and I figured I would take you guys along with me and stick around and enjoy. Alright, so as I mentioned in that little intro, it is just a beautiful night here tonight, so I'm heading out to some of the more like open roads that we have down here where I live. Most everything is just traffic city, but we do have some nice roads. So and I wanted to give a little bit more info about the Scrambler. Since I've started this channel, I think I've put out 7 videos so far. I've got like 3,000 views on the channel, and like 2,500 of those are my video on the Scrambler. So clearly the Scrambler content so far has been the most successful content on the channel. So I just wanted to just take you guys for a little moto vlog, talk about the bike some more, and just let us all hang out together here as a big happy YouTube family. So I've actually had this Scrambler for about 6 months. My review video, I actually filmed that a while back and then put it on the channel once I had the channel going and all this stuff. And so, you know, that was kind of a new owner review. I think I had like 500 miles on the bike at that point, something like that. But now I've actually had 1,000 miles on it, which means I've had a lot of time in the saddle on the bike. I've done the first service, which I didn't get to talk about in the last video. So I can talk to you guys about the first service. And I guess I'll start with that. So this bike's first service is due at 600 miles. Fun fact for you, if you actually own this bike, you will not get the service light until 630 miles. When I got to the dealership, I told the guy, I was like, I've got like 618 miles on the bike. And he was like, oh, so you haven't hit that service light yet? And I was like, oh, I thought it was going to come on at 600. I didn't know. And he was like, nah, it comes on at 630. So if you have one of these bikes, 600 miles is the service, first service, but you're not going to get the service light until 630 miles. So when I did the first service, they do like basic stuff, oil change, an oil change. They do an oil change, they do, you know, tighten up whatever needs to be tightened up. My bars were actually loose, like I was able to move them backwards or forwards, so they tightened that up for me. They checked the chain tension, that kind of stuff. And so I thought I'd talk about cost, because when I was looking for cost before I took mine in, everything I found was like European. So there wasn't a lot of North American or even American like information about first service on this bike. So when I took this bike in for first service, they did all of the stuff required in the first service, and it was like $250 for parts and everything. And then it was like $280-ish right after taxes. So you're looking at like right under $300 from my dealership, which is Two Wheels World in Pompano Beach, Florida. That's my dealership. That's where I bought the bike and everything like that. So that's kind of what you're looking at first service wise on this bike. And I would imagine that's probably the same for any of the Scrambler lineup. I don't really see why that would be any different. But I mean, I guess it could change a little bit. I don't know. So yeah, first service a little bit more expensive. I think my shop time at my dealership is like $120 an hour, which is, you know, I think kind of steep compared to like your Japanese bikes maybe, but it is a Ducati, you know, you're gonna pay a premium for that. Something I understood getting into the bike. My thing says it's 87 degrees. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't feel like 87. It feels like, it just feels great outside. I guess I can just like take this time to give you guys a little background information about me. So obviously my name is Elijah Porter, if you didn't understand that from the channel name and whatever else. I am originally from North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I grew up. So we moved to Florida when I was like 7, and then right before I turned 7. It was like the month before I turned 7. And then we lived in Florida until I was, we lived in Florida for 6.5 years. So like a lot of my young childhood years were in Florida, in a town called Palm Bay in West Melbourne, which is about 2 hours north of where I live now here in Fort Lauderdale. And then when we moved back to North Carolina, we moved back basically to the same area. Like I said, I was in the middle of 7th grade when that happened, and I lived there until I went to college. These roads out here are so nice to actually ride on. Like, we're getting really close out here to where the Everglades are, and as you get closer to the Everglades here in Florida, you get a lot more like open country kind of roads, like I call them. Not so much just like traffic, and so it's nice. But anyway, so when I moved back to Florida for college, I went to Nova Southeastern University in Davie, Florida. You can read all about it. Go Sharks. All through college, I worked as a Domino's delivery driver. That's what I did for work through college, and that was a real good time. I still don't really know what I want to do. But, you know, that's okay, I guess. I'm 23 years old. I am married to my wife, Kathleen. You've seen her in some videos. We got married in December, so we've been married for almost 6 months. And before we got married, we dated for 3 years, just about 3 years, and, or no, sorry, just over 3 years. The stop sign kind of sneaks up on you. That's not very safe. I need to stop and get some gas. My gas light's on. When I graduated college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I became a school teacher. I teach high school biology, still do that, and I don't really know what I actually really want to do with my life, which I guess is fine at the age of 23. I really do. Look, cows! Moo! Love cows. You gotta love cows. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing for now. I obviously love motorcycles. I mean, if I could make a living off being a YouTuber, that would be amazing, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just kind of do this for fun on the side, and, you know, it's fun for me to make videos and stuff like that. So yeah, so I don't really know what I want to do. I should have gone. This car was being slow. Oh, he's like drinking and checking out something down this way. I don't know what. Could have been checking out the Sled, for all we know. Who knows? This is a very nice road, nicely paved. One important thing for me on this channel was like maybe eventually helping, if I do become like relatively successful here on YouTube, is kind of showing people the evolution of like the channel. So one of my favorite things, obviously, I spend a lot of time watching YouTubers. I hardly ever like just watch regular TV. I almost always am just watching YouTube. I'll name off like a couple of my favorite channels. So I love watching Doug DeMuro. I love watching Jarrett Campisi and his girlfriend Christina. They put out really awesome videos. Chase on Two Wheels. Those are just like some people that I love to watch, which they're pretty big moto vloggers. I enjoy their content a lot, and So I've kind of modeled my channel after sort of what they do, or I'm trying to, at least, you know, to the best of my ability. So as soon as I got into those people and I started to want to like maybe do YouTube, I was like, well, you know, where did these people start out? So I went back and just kind of watched the, you know, the beginnings of their channel, their first videos, and decided to just kind of, you know, make my channel and talk about as much of the actual process as possible. I've said it 100 million times in my videos, but I absolutely love this bike. The Scrambler was my dream bike for a long time. First time I saw it was, if you've ever heard of the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, we have that. It's an event that goes all around the country. It benefits prostate cancer. And I participated in that ride, riding one of my friends' 1978 Honda CX 500. It's like a vintage bike ride, but one of the guys there was riding a desert sled. I had never seen it before. This was probably in 2017, so this is like when the bike was first released. 2017 was the first year the Scrambler desert sled was released, and I just loved it. I thought it was awesome. I took like 100 pictures. Look at that Aston, that's cool. I took like 100 pictures of it that day, and it was by far my favorite bike. And turns out the guy riding it is actually the guy that sold me this bike 3 years later, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so I just fell in love with the bike right then. I was like, oh man, I love Ducatis, and this bike, like, you know, I didn't want a maxed out street bike necessarily for my first bike, and I thought, man, that bike is awesome. That bike would be so fun, so cool. And you know, ever since then I was just like obsessed with getting one, and I didn't think it was going to happen for my first bike. I thought I was going to end up buying a KTM, like a 390 Duke. That's what I originally wanted, and then I ended up you know, getting that Cafe Racer that I have that still doesn't run, and you can check out my video on that as well. And here we are 3 years later after seeing the bike, finally own one. It was such a dream come true, like, oh, when you miss fifth gear. It was such a dream come true to get this bike. Like, it was truly awesome. There's my local Lamborghini and Porsche dealership. They do Supercar Saturdays there, so maybe if they're doing it this weekend, we'll go and I'll do a video from that. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. So guys, I don't really know what else to say. I just, you know, was going for a ride and thought, hey, you know, might as well film something, I guess, and throw it up here on the channel. If you did enjoy today's video, or, you know, at least maybe half enjoyed it, please consider liking the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to get some awesome stuff started here on the channel, you know, giveaways, bike builds, that kind of stuff. That is only going to be possible if we get support here on the channel. And so, I mean, I hate to sound like a beggar, but, you know, subscribe to the channel. That's all I can ask for you to do. I can't sit there and make you press it. I mean, I can give you a second. Here, ready? I'll give you 2 seconds to subscribe. Ready? 1, 2. All right, did you hit that button? Go back and hit it. I know you didn't. Go back and hit the button. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. But anyway, guys, seriously, that is really going to do it. Thank you so much for the support from everybody so far. I really, really appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. And stay tuned for the next one. Ride safe, guys.